It's 1749 and I'm still tolerating ASBOs let loose in society, thinking they're going to be calling shots on people's property and privacy without respect for the protocol that I initiated as a Narcotics Anonymous recovery advocate, whose anonymity, confidentiality and privacy were all breached by ASBOs in Southwest Ireland, by those supporting prostitution rings and the sex industry. So there are people obstructing the course of justice since 2006, since they started publicising sexual violence online and started damaging the field of education. So those politicians up in Dáil Éireann that are in support of those in the sex industry and prostitution rings, while abducting my child unlawfully from my care in January 2017, are automatically making themselves I hate to say it, but any people of any crimes against my royal ancestry or royal protocol or the Constitution are automatically at high risk, especially with the policies that they're playing with in regard to those implications from the protocol. There's a policy about people not paying their debts, and people that are benefiting from my research, my academic research, my credentials from two state establishments are being insulted by idiocy and nonsense, and by dishonourable individuals that obviously haven't very good skills or expertise in the field of business. So now we're all having to suffer as a consequence of their ineptitude and ignorance. The story as it is at the moment is that there have been stalkers and ASBOs in and around my proximity. As I've said, this little town has caused the world of trouble with their poor PR and their poor behaviour and standards. Mental health practitioners that are acting on behalf of anyone going near my farms, implicating themselves with my child, anyone in the Ardfert region. Let me make this explicitly clear. Anyone in the Ardfert region and Kilflynn on my McElligott farm holdings that have never had ownership of my farm holdings, that have no entitlement to my farm holdings, and that are offending my McElligott ancestors of 300 years, and that are also offending my little boy. Those that are also offending the HSE policy regarding COVID-19, those people in the Ardfert region that are causing this sham and shame against the Vatican are also in breach of bigger laws. So they'd want to stay very well clear where they, have caused so many insults and injuries. I hope the European Parliament isn't in support of fraud that has cost people their lives. Those suffering from mental illness and confusing themselves with my property, not having any entitlement to my child or my right patronage. They have no entitlement. It's absolutely disgusting. These people are so embarrassing. Some people call it the most backward behaviour. These people are so basic. It's disgusting what I'm tolerating. They're obviously not acquainted with royalty, so it's quite dangerous what's going on. It's just a disgusting situation. So those people that are lowering their standards to the filth that I'm tolerating just to accommodate ignorant people that have no standards, then unfortunately society's standards are all at risk. So anyone that's doing the most decrepit and disgusting and disrespectful conduct to walk onto my farms are unfortunately in trouble with all my faith practices, like with Salem, Catholicism, Protestantism. As a recovery advocate, I have worked with people of so many different denominations. That's a part of the job expectations, the job objective, I suppose, as well. We have to, as recovery advocates, have acquainted ourselves with the faiths of many denominations. So there's some people ignorant enough to be discussing matters that they're not very well equipped, and they'd be advised to stay very far away from any more, I suppose, repeat offences that compromise the field of sanity and sobriety, and psychiatrists in the southwest of Ireland accommodating land grabbers with basic behaviour. It's really bad. It's really embarrassing. So anyone that's offending me, I hope you're aware that anything that you've been fortuitous enough to be prospering from, you obviously haven't got the integrity to be respectful to where you're lining your pockets from. So unfortunately, I can't say that your children's safety is guaranteed in crimes against my royal blood or any crimes against my child. So as long as people want to be deluding themselves, having a nice time off my recovery or from my recovery advocacy, I hate to disappoint, but it's not supported. Crime isn't supported in my line of advocacy. Those that don't have etiquette skills and that don't have the common sense to mind where they're walking, on which side of the street they're dirtying and whose doorstep they're defaming, they should be really careful to stay very well far away from people's farmland, especially since it's in my family name for the past 300 years, and especially since there's a child I gave birth to that Tusa Child and Family Agency are guilty of illegally withholding from his mother. So people talking without first-hand knowledge or expertise or interaction really would be in their own best interests, behaving according to protocol, royal protocol. It's very simple. I've a lovely selection of royal titles, and this dirty town behaviour, this dirty town's behaviour is ASBO personified. The crime I'm tolerating is just deplorable. So unfortunately, there are going to be people's lives put at risk with what I'm tolerating. It's really serious. So when people are starting to be sensible and when people get their mental health assessed, all the better for all of us. But as long as any representatives of the Kerry University Hospital or anyone working in association with ASBOs offending my child's upbringing, those representing the field of psychiatry that have already slandered my good name with unlawful actions and that are contra royal protocol, you might remind yourself of what the Fellowship of Narcotics is like. Narcotics Anonymous is huge. It's a fabulous worldwide fellowship, and people in the southwest of Ireland have really disrespected huge principles, steps to recovery that I've worked with for nearly 20 years. So if everyone's able to comprehend the basics, then it mightn't be so difficult, I suppose, for people to move forward. But if there's someone up in the east of the country calling themselves the leader of this country, I don't know if you know my status, and that royal protocol is takes precedence. The issue of the health services acting on behalf of disgruntled addicts and debtors, those mental health practitioners working on behalf of land grabbers to my farms that have upset my little boy, those people that are working hand in hand with that kind of that kind of mentality in society doesn't really help the health and well-being industry that my legislation is working with also. So those that are discussing mental health, I have concerns for them when they don't know what they're talking about and when they don't have actual experience. So seems they have such a poor track record already with people in their dysfunctional relationships that they've had throughout society. It might be safer for some people to observe COVID-19 protocol and best off minding your own side of the street, especially if you're already guilty of defaming my good name, character and reputation. So the Garda Siochana, in your own best interest, I can't stress it enough, the Garda Siochana of this country, as long as I'm offended, I hate to tell you, but the accumulation of crime against my child and I and my farms, regardless of fraud and those coveting my beautiful farmland of my ancestors of 300 years. Garda Síochána, if you don't start doing what you're supposed to do, I hate to tell you, but there could be another round of bad luck accommodating the scam artists and scoundrels that have already affected your reputations. So, as I've also mentioned, any liabilities that come within 2 meters or 2 feet of me with any bad behaviour, I hope you're aware that's not safe for the doctors and their Hippocratic Oath offences. So the Garda Síochána, if you don't do your jobs, what are your children going to do? Are they going to have to tolerate what I'm tolerating, it's a sad sign of the times. Thanks.